big leafy plants that you see on both sides, those are elefantine. That's an invasive species of it. That's not natural. Somebody years ago must have planted them in their yard and was transplanted to the river. And it's the only invasive species that does any good for the area. It helps with the erosion. The guys coming up amongst these elefantines, you'll notice there's a sword-like looking plant. That's the Louisiana wild iris. That's that state wildflower. Makes a really beautiful purple and gold flower called the fleur de lis, which in French means the flower of life. That's the same flower that the New Orleans Saints put on their helmets, and it's also where LSU took their colors, purple and gold. If y'all ever get a chance to come back around mid-April, from one end of this body to the other, nothing but purple and gold. Ahead of us on the right bank, you notice that tall grass coming out of the water. That's sawgrass, and that's in the wild rice valley. It develops little grains of rice in the spring. And those Indians were here to cultivate that grass for the rice. It's called sawgrass because if you try to grab one of those leaves, it'll cut you like a razor. Very, very strong. And if you look amongst that sawgrass, you're going to notice there's a little cluster plant in there with the little pointed leaves. That's the arrowhead fern, and that's also an edible plant. If you cut those leaves off that stem and boil it, it tastes like spinach. And behind all that, you'll notice all those vines that choking those trees. That's muscadine vine, which makes muscadine grape, which makes really tasty wine.
I see.
Up ahead of us, you'll notice all of those trees overhanging the bank. That's a white, black willow tree. Those Indians used to also use these trees when they were here. When they didn't feel good, they'd come out here, they would chew the bark of those trees, and they said it helped them with the aches and pain. How do you think they figured that? I think the first thing is, man, I'm really sick of this chew a tree. You know, but it turns out it's a natural aspirin that occurs in the bark, so it did give them some relief. Guys, if the ones are here, you might hear something like that. That could be a snake falling out of the tree. This time of year, the snakes like to get out of the water and get in the trees, and every now and then we'll
Look at it.
that doesn't happen today, but if it does, they usually fall in the front. Just pick up your feet and let that snake slither on back, and I'll help you climb down. And guys, as we're going through here, look where this grass is meeting the water. There's a chance you might find a small alligator. They're going to be hiding in that grass from the larger alligators because they are cannibalistic. They love to eat each other. Around the middle of June, a female alligator goes on land and she builds herself a nest. She's going to lay between 60 and 80 eggs in it. Ooh. The day that she does that, if the temperature is 90 degrees or above, most of those eggs will turn out to be male. If the temperature is below 90 degrees, they'll be mostly female. The temperature determines the sex of the alligator. Those little gators are going to come out of their shell about 60 days later in September, about 1 foot long, and they're going to grow 1 foot for every year, and then their growth for the first 3 years, and then their growth slows up. A male can live to be 90 years old, and he can get to be about 18 feet long. A female will live to be about 30, and she's going to get to be about 8 or 9 feet long. You can't tell the sex of an alligator by looking at it because all their sexual organs are inside of them. There's a little slit just below their belly that you have to stick your finger in to find out if the male. You guys, if you're that inquisitive, please tie them up first because they hate it when you do that. Now, even though there's such a discrepancy in their ages, we see more females than we see males. And I know you're thinking to yourself, well, gee, a second ago you told us you can't tell the sex of an alligator. The reason we know that is there's going to be one bull male alligator for every 300 acres. He's going to kill every other male in that area to keep all the females from himself. The big bull that's in this area today is about 14 feet long. and he's chewed up from his snout to his tail from all the other males that have challenges. And I told you earlier when we saw that one on the bank that was a male, and the reason I know that is his back leg was all chewed up. Where another one tried to grab him. They usually have scars all over.
There's a one, a baby.
Oh, that's a baby one.
That baby gator.
Oh yeah, baby. They're sick of marshmallows. It's cute.
They have 80 teeth in their mouth, and they lose their teeth every 2 years. They regenerate new teeth, and they have about 3,000 pounds of pressure in their jaws, so they can kill anything that they want to kill. But if they kill something that's too big to swallow, they bury it and they wait for it to rot so it gets soft enough that they can pull a piece of it out and swallow it. They don't have the muscle structure in their jaws to be able to chew their food, so they have to bury it. And guys, you know, you're looking at a dinosaur. They haven't changed in 270 million years. The only difference between then and now is back then, they would get to be about 40 feet long. Now they only get to be about 8 feet. And they are a cold-blooded animal. Their temperature is the same as their surroundings. When the water temperature reaches 70 degrees, which usually around Thanksgiving here, they have to stop eating. Whatever they eat will not digest in their system, and it makes them
Hey, raccoon.
Hi, baby. Yeah, stop it. So cute. Hi, honey.
He like, what y'all want?
Look at him. Oh, he got the hell out.
So they'll stop eating if they around November, and they won't start eating again until April or May when that water warms up again. And if they have to, they can go a whole year without eating.
Maybe when we go by.
When it freezes, they can regulate their heart rate to go down to 2 beats a minute. They shut their metabolism completely down. They could be stuck in a pond that freezes over solid, and as long as their nose is sticking out of that water, they'll survive. A crocodile can't do that. When the water temperature reaches 50 degrees, the crocodile's going to drown. That's why we don't have any crocodiles here in Louisiana. They can't take cold weather to the alligators. And do y'all know how to tell the size of one when you see it?
No.
You look at the tip of their nose to their eyes. Every inch in between that equals a foot body. They can swim 20 miles an hour in the water, and they can run 35 miles an hour on land. So you're not going to outrun an alligator. Your best chance of getting away from one is to trip up whoever's next to you. And you know how they all have the ridges on their back? Every one of those bumps on their back is called a scoop. And what that is, it's a fat cell that has blood vessels running up to it. And what those scoops do, they act like a battery, and they store the warm energy in their body. So what they're doing is when it gets cool, they'll get out of the water, get on a log, let that sunshine beat on their back, and those scoops will keep them warm throughout the night. Guys, I'm going to take y'all into a cypress swamp now. And I want y'all to keep in mind, as you're going back up into this swamp, most of the trees we're going to see are going to be what's called the new growth cycle. By that I mean they're going to be 300 years or younger. All of this area was harvested when they built the French Quarter in New Orleans. That's why most of the trees would be about that age. The cypress is in the same family as the California redwood. They can live to be 2,500 years old. When they reach the age of 30, they develop an enzyme inside of them that makes them impervious to insects. So termites will eat cypress. That's why the French Quarter is still standing today, because they got all those woods they built it. We do have other trees in here other than cypress. We have a lot of swamp oaks, a lot of maples, and a lot of Tupelo gums. Have y'all ever heard that term, Tupelo honey?
No. Yeah.
Tupelo honey comes from these Tupelo gum trees. They get hollowed out. The bees go inside of them and they make their hives inside the trees. That's why this place is called Honeyology, because they get so much honey out of this swamp. These first trees we're gonna pass are tuberos. They're gonna be the grass bark trees. You'll notice how they're getting hollowed out. What's happening? They're rotting away from the inside out. There's another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, what that's it.
They're rotting away from the inside out. They only live to be about 90 years old. The wood's no good to build anything with, but they make really good firewood because it's full of dirt. Guys, over here on the right, that's a spider lily, that white flower. And that has to be yesterday's flower because they only bloom for 24 hours.
No way.
Then they start wilting away. These are the tuberos, and you see how they're getting hollowed out, right? There's one right here. Water level is really low back there.
Another one?
Normally, you can't see any of that leaves. It's all
Way back.
That's your health.
The cypress trees are going to be the reddish bark trees that fell out at the bottom. It's our state tree. It's called the bald cypress because they lose their leaves twice a year. At the base of some of them, it'll look like a new little tree growing up next to it. That's called the cypress knee. That's part of the root system. Those little guys, there's another greater blue heron over here on our right.
That big old bird.
Oh yeah, I've seen a blue
That
bird.
bird can get to be 4 feet tall with a wingspan of about 9 feet wide. That's a really tough bird. But as I was saying about the cypress knees, they can get to be 7
How you
feet
doing?
tall, but they'll never ever be another tree. What they're doing is stabilizing these trees in this soft soil. They can spread up to 90 feet away from the tree. It's a very, very shallow root system. I guarantee you,
over there.
well,
See it?
looking at
Oh.
us,
Yep, in the grass.
3 million.
Oh, underneath it.
Uh-huh. That was turtle. Oh, itch.
I just feel like some problem. My mind.
Guys, if you look on the right, you're going to notice there's a big open area. That used to be a 300-acre lake. When Hurricane Katrina hit, it silted that lake in. It turned itself into a swamp. You notice all the trees are growing out of it. It used to be about 6 feet deep, and that's where everybody would water ski because it would keep them off the river with all the boat traffic. But there's never skiing there again. And you notice that little green vegetation floating on the water. That's another invasive species. That's called Salvinia. And that comes from China. And it probably got here with the ships that came to the world. And it's really detrimental to this ecosystem. In the summer, it'll completely choke up these bayous, and when it does, it depletes the oxygen in the water and it kills the fish. The only thing that gets rid of the Salvinia is a good hard fruit. We didn't have a cold enough fruit last year. Hopefully this year we'll have
nothing will eat that, I guess.
Nothing eats it, no. The only thing they can do is come out here with Roundup.